The story begins by showing a couple on their way to somewhere. The pregnant wife is named Rachel and the husband is Matt. The trip seems calm until they discover that the road ahead is blocked. Matt follows the detour, but without paying attention, he hits a fallen tree in the middle of the road, damaging the car and leaving them stuck in a remote area of the forest. Matt climbs a tree to try to call a tow truck, but cannot get any cell signal. Fortunately, he spots a farm about 800 m away. They decide to walk there. On the way, they find a sign saying they cannot enter because it is private property, but they have no choice and continue. Upon entering the property, they are approached by a man in a car who scolds them and tells them to leave. Even with Matt explaining the situation, the man refuses to help. However, upon learning Rachel is pregnant with a boy, his attitude changes completely and he becomes very hospitable. The man is named Bobby and he informs his wife Agnes about the visitors. Initially, Agnes refuses to receive them, but upon learning of the pregnancy and that the baby is a boy, she becomes excited and asks Bobby to bring them into the house. Matt and Rachel explain they only want to use the phone, but Bobby insists on inviting them in, saying the storm damaged the phone line and they are waiting for a technician, but all the roads are blocked. With no options, the couple ends up accepting the invitation. On the way, Rachel sees a girl in a black dress watching her. At Bobby's house, they are greeted by Agnes and her two sons, Luke and David. Agnes asks her sons to fetch the guests' luggage and leads them to the room where they will spend the night. They are pleased with the hospitality and Rachel asks if Matt saw the girl on the way. Matt replies he did not see anyone and Rachel says that at dawn they will leave not knowing that Agnes is listening. As they talk outside the room, Rachel is shocked to see again the girl she had spotted earlier. But when she tells Matt, he sees no one. During dinner with the family, Agnes serves the food and says she is very proud of her children. She asks if they are beautiful and Rachel replies they are lovely. Agnes seems displeased with that answer and tells Rachel not to think about the boys, then kisses both of them. The couple finds all of this very strange. Rachel sees a photo of Agnes and Bobby with the girl and asks who she is. Agnes says it is Faith, her youngest daughter, but that she is not dining with them that day. Agnes reveals she adopted Faith, Luke, and David because she was not blessed with her own children. According to her, God has a better plan for her family. They are surprised when Bobby becomes furious with one of the sons. After dinner, Matt and Rachel return to the room and Rachel begins to suspect Agnes's family. She did not see Faith with them and thought the family's behavior was strange. Rachel asks Matt to leave in the morning, but they realize someone is listening outside. When Matt checks, there is no one there. Rachel goes to the bathroom and does not even notice Faith, who is standing by the wall. The next morning, Rachel wakes to the sound of crying. She turns and sees Matt is no longer there and suddenly sees Faith crying over two dead parents. Faith approaches and says her name. It was only a dream. Rachel wakes and says the girl's real name is Ellie Adams. She explains to Matt that Faith is Ellie Adams, whose entire family disappeared and has been in the news for months. She suspects Agnes' family has something to do with that and is responsible for the deaths of Ellie's parents. Therefore, she does not want to stay any longer and asks Matt to leave immediately. They go down the stairs slowly, but the house door is locked. Matt grabs the key from the key box, but it falls to the floor. Bobby appears from behind. Matt says he and Rachel will continue the trip on foot, but Bobby just stands there without saying anything. As they are about to leave, Luke and David are already in front of the house carrying weapons for them. David strikes Matt and Rachel is hit by Bobby, causing both to faint. Rachel awakens with her hands chained and asks where Matt is. Agnes says Matt is in a much better place now. Meanwhile, Luke and David are digging the hole where Matt will be buried. They take all of Matt's clothes off, including his underwear. When Luke is about to kill the unconscious man, David suggests burying him alive. Luke then throws Matt's cigarettes and lighter into the coffin, saying he may need them when he wakes up. Rachel, for her part, is giving birth with Agnes' help. Right after the birth, it is discovered the baby is not a boy, but a girl. Agnes takes her outside, leaving Rachel exhausted. Rachel tries to free herself from the bonds. After seeing Agnes leave, managing to loosen her hands, she grabs the hanging cross and pretends to be normal. When Agnes returns to speak with her about feeding, Rachel, fed up with the situation, strikes Agnes, but cannot do much as everyone appears. Rachel is restrained again with cable ties on her wrists and ankles. At that moment, Agnes admits to having killed Faith's parents in the name of God. She claims to have saved her adopted children from the clutches of Satan, alleging that Rachel and other parents were infected by the evil culture. After being gagged, Rachel is taken to a hay barn. Rachel's breast milk is also pumped by force by Agnes. Meanwhile, Matt, who woke up, tries to use his lighter as a light source. He does not even know where he is and tries to figure it out by looking around. He checks the loose side of the box and finds dirt on the outside. At this point, Matt realizes he was buried alive in a coffin. He tries everything to break the side of the box and get out. After many attempts, he finally manages to escape without clothes. After that, Matt wanders aimlessly looking for help, but unfortunately finds no one. He does not even know where he is now. Soon after, he finds a waterfall where he cleans up. He also finds a cloth not far from him and uses it to cover his body. Rachel, on the other hand, tries to free herself from the chains, but her efforts are in vain. Rachel falls asleep again after the exertion, and someone appears with food and drink for her. The person reveals herself to be Faith, or Ellie Adams as she was previously known. Rachel asks Ellie to help her and find something to free her, but Ellie simply walks away and leaves her. The scene shifts to Matt, who does his best to find the highway and finally finds two men camping. Matt tries to ask for help and explains everything he and Rachel are going through. But when they look at Matt's clothes, they think he is drunk and hallucinating. Eventually, Matt has no choice but to fight the two. After that, Matt takes his clothes and offers a mutually beneficial solution. Matt tells them to show him the way to the highway, and he gives them a knife to untie themselves. One of the guys comments that Bob will kill them for having done that, and the other replies they had no choice. Meanwhile, Luke and David go to see Agnes in Rachel's baby room. They know Agnes actually expected a boy and offer a solution in which Luke and David will have sex with Rachel. From that act, Rachel will give birth to a boy, which is probably God's plan for them. Agnes cannot believe what she has just heard and kicks them out of the room. Luke and David, who have never experienced such a thing before, finally decide to find Rachel in the hay barn. As soon as Matt manages to return to the house, he is helped by Ellie to find Rachel's whereabouts. At the same time, Luke and David try to force Rachel to do what they want. Fortunately, Matt arrives just in time and kills the two by beating them with a pipe. Rachel is relieved to see Matt still alive. She informs him their child was born and that it is a girl. Matt is happy to hear this and uses his pipe to break Rachel's iron chains. Agnes, meanwhile, hears the clanging of Matt's pipe and asks Bobby to go check. But Ellie manages to buy the couple some time by breaking a glass on the floor, which leaves the woman very angry. But this does not prevent Agnes from sending Bobby to check the barn. When Rachel and Matt want to leave the barn, they discover Bobby is already outside holding his gun and realizes his sons are dead. He quickly shoots the two, but Matt immediately covers Rachel and lets himself be shot to death. Bobby then hits Rachel with his rifle, making her faint. After that, Rachel is tied up again in the same place. When Rachel regains consciousness, she sees Ellie trying to free herself from the chains. She realizes Ellie was also chained along with her. Meanwhile, at home, Bobby sees Agnes applying makeup to Luke and David. Agnes, who thinks Luke and David are still alive, is advised by Bobby to let them go. They eventually bury Luke and David in the meadow where there are 3 grave crosses. After lamenting their deaths, Bobby tells Agnes to go home, but Agnes, who still cannot let them go, tells Bobby to go first. Meanwhile, Ellie and Rachel finally manage to dismantle the bricks attached to the chains. They loosen the chains around the neck and hands before going to Bobby and Agnes' house to fetch their baby. After finding the room, Rachel is very happy to see her newborn. But soon after, Bobby returns home. Rachel and Ellie have no choice but to hide in the closet. After Bobby checks on the baby's condition, he leaves the room and takes the breast pump with him. When he arrives at the hay barn, he discovers Rachel is no longer there, so he immediately grabs his gun and returns home. This time, however, Rachel no longer wants to hide. She asks to breastfeed the baby directly without pumping. Bobby agrees to her request, but in truth, Rachel is only following a plan. She quickly stabs Bobby to death. After this, Rachel runs to grab Bobby's phone and calls the police. Unfortunately, Agnes arrives home at the same time and becomes suspicious when she notices the hay barn key is still in the lock. She then grabs the gun and waits for Rachel outside. Soon after, she goes out with the tractor to somewhere. Rachel and Ellie then slowly leave the house with Bobby's gun. They run to the car, but cannot find the car keys. It turns out Agnes is watching them from afar. Agnes finally approaches Rachel, forcing her out of the car with her gun, leaving Ellie with her baby for a while. At this point, Rachel and Agnes engage in a shootout, but most of their shots miss. Rachel, who has been shot in the arms and legs, tries to prevent Agnes from taking her baby. In the end, Rachel manages to defeat Agnes, repeatedly banging her head on the ground. Rachel and Ellie then manage to leave the house and are then rescued by the arrival of the police and an ambulance. The police and the doctor try to ask what happened to them, but Agnes, who is still alive, appears behind the ambulance and tries to shoot Rachel. Fortunately, the police notice Agnes' presence and quickly shoot her dead. The officer asks about Ellie Adams, who had been reported earlier by Rachel. And this is the moment Ellie simply disappears from there. Before the film ends, Rachel finally realizes the girl she had seen in that house was not the real Ellie Adams. It turns out her efforts to escape the house were only accompanied by the shadow of the dead Ellie. Furthermore, one of the 3 grave crosses from the previous scene belonged to Ellie Adams, who answered to the name Faith. After that, Rachel and her baby are taken by ambulance to a nearby hospital. And with that, the film ends.